What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, here for episode 134 of our movie reviews. And I'm here with my beautiful, sexy wife. Say hi, boo.
Aw. Hi, everyone. I'm Akti, and I'm from Turkey. And today we are reviewing Mandingo.
Yes, we are continuing our 70s core themed films. We reviewed Coffee, Blackula, and this is another 1970s classic. Came out in 75, directed by Richard Fleischer. And this, I would say, is a historical drama slash romance film slash, of course, a race film, psychological thriller, horror movie. I don't know, man.
Some scenes, yeah.
There's a lot to break down in this film, but it's essentially one of the few films that deal with the topic of slave breeding, which was, during the time of American slavery, they banned the importation of new Africans, and now the slave owners had only one choice, which was to force their slaves to reproduce, and also reproduce with them as well, to have new property to sell and work the farms and several other things. So it's a very captivating film, I would say. We watched it about a week ago, and I rewatched it this morning before reviewing this. So what did you think of it when we watched it?
Yeah, it was definitely like historically interesting to see, kind of like it felt like a bit like the origin story of the relationship between like interracial couples or something. Not couples. But like, I wouldn't say these are couples. But
like the interracial dynamics of America, like why there
America
is such a taboo between black men and white women, and also between white men and black women. So
Yes. So that was definitely interesting to see. But overall, I think it was like a well-acted movie, and it had like different themes related to, I would say, race and romance, and even like, sexism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you expect all of those things to happen because it's, it's in history, back in history.
I love reviewing movies with you because we have our different, backgrounds that we come from and perspectives that we can tackle these different films that we review from. And I feel like looking at this film from the angle of the women who are involved, you could have a feminist critique of this. Looking at it, of course, from the background of race, there's definitely a lot of racial elements you can analyze it with, historically as well, psychologically and sociologically. You can analyze this film in a lot of different ways. So I love doing these reviews with you, and I can't wait to tear this one apart. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I love it. I love doing it with you too.
There we go. You heard that, everybody? She likes to do it with me. Yeah.
No. That came out wrong.
Anyway, speaking of the acting, as you mentioned before, there's an all-star cast here. Not everybody here is super famous, and most of the people here, I assume, are dead or very, very old. But shout out to the guy who played, I would say, Perry King. He was the actor who played Hammond Maxwell. He's like the main character. He's this white guy you see on screen right here. The guy who played Meade, Ken Norton, did a great job as well. And I also want to give a special shout out to Susan George, who plays Blanche Maxwell, the white woman you see on screen here. She was also one of the main characters in another 1970s film we reviewed called Straw Dogs. And I think she does an excellent job of acting and playing these complex female characters. But generally the acting, I would say, from everybody is very good. But what did you think of the acting?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It was very good. It didn't feel like overacted, even though it was like a 70s movie. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was all very realistic. And that made that made the movie hard to watch at some points because it was too realistic. Yeah. And there is like I don't know, I guess like a racial gore? Yeah. How would you define it?
This is, every slave movie, in my opinion, is a horror film.
Yeah.
Because, slavery was so scientifically horrific to not only the people that were enslaved, but the people that did the enslaving, that it, just comes across as gothic and unreal, unreally unholy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's definitely hard to look at the screen when those things are happening.
Yeah.
And what makes it even more horrifying that, this happened at some point in history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of also the directing, this film was directed by a guy named Richard Fleischer, who made a lot of films in the 70s and also in the 80s. He directed a film with Che Guevara that I really want to see, where he got this Egyptian actor to play Che, so I can't wait to tear apart that. But he also did other stuff like 30,000 Leagues Below the Sea and some other action films. And there is a bit of like action aesthetic to this thing, but I really like how towards the end of the film, like the last 20 minutes or so, it becomes so gothic and dark, especially with the shadowing and that's done and the way they use natural light in this film to bring these scenes alive, but also make them seem so once again unholy and just graphic. But what did you think of the directing?
Yeah, definitely. I think like the cinematography was something that was very like outstanding. Like you said, the way they use light. When like we have two characters that might like professionally need different kinds of lighting. Like we have a white person and a black person. Yeah. But the lighting like just make them look like holy, like you said. Yeah. I don't know, like it was like, I don't know, especially during like the intimate scenes. I think maybe they did it on purpose to make it look very like angelic, both of them, like all of them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all the romantic scenes here are twisted and none of them are consensual. But yeah, they use like, I think natural lighting and shadow to do the contrast, but also, show these characters in just, a setting that makes you feel like they're under some sort of dark spell. So yeah, moving forward though, before we jump into the movie, I want to talk about these two books real quick. So on this channel, I do live book readings, and these are two of the books that we covered on this. Slave Breeding by Gregory D. Smithers talks about how slave breeding is remembered in American history, not really a detailed historical account of it. And within this book, he talks about the movie Mandingo, because there's only, once again, a handful of movies that deal with this very dark topic in American history. And the way he broke it down is that the guy who wrote the book Mandingo was a guy named Kyle Onstott. And he was a dog breeder in California who heard stories about slave breeding and thought it was very fascinating and captivating, right? This untold, dark secret of American history. So he does more research about it and then ends up writing the book Mandingo, which becomes like an international bestseller and is the first book based on the slave plantation Falconhurst, which there are many more books, and there's actually another movie called Drum, which builds on the story of Mandingo. And White Women, Black Men, Illicit Sex in the 19th Century South by Martha Hodes talks about, this, once again, unspoken part of American history that there was, illicit sexual interactions and marriages and full-on relationships between black men and white women in the antebellum South. Something that we don't think about happening, because the way we think about black men and white women's relationships in America is mostly a black man gets accused of raping a white woman and then he's lynched the next day, or, stuff like that. So I thought these two books would be good to bring up at the beginning. So I don't know if you have any comments about any of that right there.
No, I mean, just looking at what the producer says about the book here, the producer Ralph Serpe, and he kind of says like, we like the book and the story, but we don't like the intentions of the book. So I guess like the book was more malicious in its intent, and the ending was more brutal in the book. And in the movie, they wanted to make it look like a sociological story of the times, and also they didn't want to include like the brutal ending. I mean, it's still a brutal ending, but kind of also a win,
Yeah. I mean, Kyle Onstott got a lot of backlash for his book Mandingo because people panned it. The American book critics hated the book. They said it was literally trash. The New York Times, after the publishing of Mandingo, gave out the Kyle Onstott Award for the worst book published that year. So I could understand that, maybe I have never read the book, but I imagine it's probably very more graphic and just lurid and more about, the sex and the power and more like a gore torture type of text.
Yeah, it's a bad ending. I mean, I don't want to even say this, but
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I remember that in Gregory D. Smithers' book, the ending is really, and spoilers for people out there, the ending is that the white woman pierces the ears of Mead, the black slave she has sex with the earrings that her husband gave to his mistress slave. So, and then he's boiled alive or something like that, which is very similar to kind of the ending of this movie. So anyway, go check out those books. If you haven't, they're on my channel. You can also find them online pretty easy as well. Without further ado, let's get into the film. So the movie opens up with this slave trader coming from, I think, New Orleans, and he's coming to this plantation called Falconhurst, and he's looking at the bucks and the wenches, and I hate to use those terms, that the man Maxwell has for sale. And it gets pretty graphic right here. Like, he makes one slave bend over and open his ass cheek so he can check if he has hemorrhoids. And the slave owner, Mr. Maxwell, says, "Don't worry, I never altered any of my N-words, and they're all clean, they're all healthy." You know what I'm saying? And the one we see here on the screen with a bandana tied around his head, the tall one, his name is Cicero, and he's a runner. That's why on his back he has a branding with the R. So what did you think of the opening scene?
I was thinking like, oh, Cicero is going to be the main character. Of course, like, it's setting the scene. It's kind of like, these type of scenes feels very haunted. Thinking like it's kind of because it's in the forest and the greenery, it's kind of like a beautiful nature, but then also you have this horrific thing called a plantation. Yeah. So that's why I feel like it feels haunted. But when it comes to Cicero, I thought he was going to be like the main character, like the rebellion leader, and something like that. Yeah. Like, that's the immediate thought I had when we were watching.
Yeah, because he is presented that way. He is a very prominently placed at the beginning of the film. And speaking of the hauntedness of the Falconhurst plantation, I noticed that as well. When we think about slave movies like Django or 12 Years a Slave, when they introduce the plantation, it looks grand, it looks beautiful, the columns are crystal white and stuff like that. But Falconhurst is actually kind of ghetto. It's really
It's kind of like worn down a little bit, old.
Yeah, and that's crazy because we usually don't think of the plantation that way, but I wouldn't even want to live in Falconhurst if I was the master, you know what I'm saying? That, yeah. No, but I'm saying if I was a white man with money back then, I would have pulled up like, brother,
Yeah. I mean, I guess they don't really care about how the house looks. Yeah. It feels like they are still very rich.
They are very rich, and that becomes important later in the story.
And
so,
Oh,
go ahead.
Just one thing, like, the reason I thought he was going to be like a rebel is because he was the only one looking at the slave master.
Yeah, dead in the eyes. Yeah. Everybody else is sort of like looking down or looking away and stuff like that. So that's another thing about Cicero. He explains defiance and exemplifies the desire for freedom, right? So moving forward in the film, we see that there is a young black girl who is lying in bed, and she does not want to be a part of the breeding process. So the way Falconhurst makes their money is, of course, they get slaves to breed with each other, but also the young man on the plantation, whose name is Hammond Maxwell, the son of the owner of the plantation, he also has sex with the women themselves. And the way they break their female slaves here, is that the white man has sex with the woman first before they give them out to the black slaves. And this girl is crying. She's like, "No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of it." But they tell her, "Hush now." And unfortunately, the women go along with it too, and they tell her, "You just be quiet. You just go along with it." So what did you think of those scenes?
Yeah, I think this is like the beginning of the ridiculous shit that white men believed at the time. Like, because the doctor here, he's a veterinarian.
Yes, which was
even a doctor.
Which was a real thing back then. They used to bring veterinarians out for the slaves and real doctors out for humans, but white people, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. And then also, like, he says, "Oh, the only way we can heal her is to have sex with her." So, like, kind of rape her, not even like sex. So that was like just gross. That was gross. Yeah. And it was like she was already pregnant, I think, as well. So the logic is not logicking.
Yeah, I don't know if she was already pregnant because she was a virgin, and that's the thing. The white man was supposed to have sex with the virgins first before the before the black men do. So that was one thing. But yeah, the thing about this movie that's interesting is that even though it's fiction, this is still very much based in reality. It's referring to the books that I mentioned before. This was a common practice in places like Virginia and Tennessee and stuff like that, where they didn't have as much good land to farm, cotton or tomatoes or corn, whatever. Those states, those regions were essentially like breeding grounds where a bunch of, white men would have sex with black women and force other black people to have sex with each other to then make new slaves that they would sell downriver, which is why we get the expression in American English, oh, you're trying to sell me down the river, which means like you're trying to sell me out or send me to a worse condition. So this was like, very common and also hard to watch and hard to imagine, being the mother. Like we see the mother up here on the screen and she's like, prepping her daughter mentally for the rape. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
it says here like she's hipped, which is kind of like she's pregnant. The way I imagined it was like people thought she was a virgin, and then I think she had sex with another black man in the plantation, and then they're trying to like fix her by making her have sex with the white man.
No, they were saying she's plumb hipped, as in she's ready, like she's ready for it. Seems like you read. Okay, I'm sorry.
Either way, it's bad.
Either way, it's all bad, right?
Yeah.
But this goes to the ghetto-ness of Falconhurst. They're just, they're living. But we also get introduced to other characters who are enslaved here, such as Agamemnon, who is also known as Mem throughout the film. He's one of the main house Negroes who has like been the oldest servant to Warren Maxwell, the slave owner, right? And there's this very particularly brutal scene when, the white guy who's a traitor, Warren Maxwell and his son are all sitting around the table and they're talking about black people in horrific ways as if they're not even there. You know what I'm saying? Like the traitor asks Warren Maxwell, do you teach your slaves religion? And he says, why would I teach them religion? They ain't got no soul. Agamemnon, Mem, do you reckon you have a soul? And Mem replies, a no good black motherfucker like me ain't got no soul. So yeah, it was brutal. What did you think of those scenes?
Yeah, it was giving Get Out.
Yeah, extreme Get Out. And once again, look at this scene here, how dark it is, but still you see all the characters' faces and like it really comes across as very, haunted house. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like really kind of resembles even whatever happens today with like white supremacists, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they sit around and they all like bicker about the liberals and the black people and the non-white people and all of that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like there's no really logical explanation to their talks or arguments and stuff like that. Because also while at the table, they talk about the people in the North, they're just like crazy. They want to take our slaves and all of that. And then they also talk about like the dad has a sickness. I forgot.
He has rheumatism on his feet.
And another guy says like, oh, you should use like one of the black children to soak up the pain from your feet. And it's like, what?
Yeah, and then throughout the rest of the film, we see Warren Maxwell just have like a little black boy laying down under his feet. Yeah. Which is not funny at all, but it's funny in the sense of, like you said, how stupid it is, how it doesn't make sense, how illogical it is. It's very Maha, you know what I'm saying? Like in America right now, we have right-wingers who believe you should drink raw milk, you should eat raw meat, you should not get vaccines, you know what I'm saying? So the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I know, yeah. It's just like, like a group of stupid men or stupid people just like firing each other like towards weird conspiracy theories and like just weird beliefs and stuff like that. So that's what it feels like. And then Mem here probably thinking like, these dumbasses. These
dumbasses.
I can't believe I have to call this dumb like man master.
But Mem is one of the more interesting characters because he knows when to be obedient and he knows the right things to say, but he goes on later to show that he is actually, as defiant and wanting and longing of his freedom too. So I like how this film doesn't make him out to be just like an Uncle Tom, like he actually grows some balls later, or has balls all the time, but just knows when to put them on the table. So,
yeah. I mean, he has survival tactics. Yeah,
But we also get introduced to another character here named Lucretia Borgia, and who is this, large black, mammy type character. And we find out the extent of the Falconhurst breeding scheme because Lucretia had 14 children. And
I think it was 24.
She had 24, and I think only 14 survived or something like that, because they mentioned that throughout the film. Like, yeah, Lucretia Borgia was put, through hell and was constantly raped and forced to have children too. So what did you think about that?
Yeah, it's like, what can I think about that? That's just like fucked up.
It is. There is no other word for it but fucked up. But I thought her character was interesting to include because throughout the film, she doesn't show any type of resistance. It's like a part of her survival is just, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like they now treat her better after giving birth and surviving all of those births.
I mean, I guess like there's like, I can't say like a good or a bad thing about being a woman in this position. It's like, the very, very bad thing is that you're constantly raped, right? Yeah. And then kind of a good thing is like maybe you're not as brutally treated as the men are. So I think she just like kind of found that position. And I also feel like, once you've been repeatedly traumatized like that, like what else can you do?
Yeah. The thing,
she just like, okay, this is like what I have to go through, and I guess I'll accept that as my reality now because that's insane amount of times. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and that some people succumb to that type of Stockholm syndrome, but it's out of survival. You know what I'm saying? And like many of the women here throughout this film are making this choice of like, how much do I be a part of this system to survive? And the men are making the same calculation too, like Mem right here, but also the men, and I assume also the women as well, are striving for the ultimate thing, which is freedom. You know what I'm saying? And so for women, right, the opportunity for freedom might come through being a part of the system, right? Yeah. Because they have the quality of being able to reproduce. But for men, because they don't have this quality, the only goal for freedom is to either violently overthrow the system or run away from it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's different like dynamics at play because I mean, as we will see with another character like Ellen, it's like your sexuality can be a weapon for a white man to use it against you, to inflict pain and dominance, but it can also sometimes, depending on who you are with, can be a weapon you can use in order to get some freedom.
Exactly. The pussy is power.
Not always. Especially in this context.
But this scene right here is just more about the wild race science they had at the time. As we mentioned, the Maxwell believes he can get rid of his disease by putting his feet on a black baby's belly. Moving forward, this is when Hammond comes in and has sex with the young black girl for the first time, and this is when I think we also get his famous pickup line, can you help me with my boots? Maxwell is about to put that D on you and he says, take off my boots, girl. But this scene was very sad too, man. Yeah. But I also don't like, one thing I didn't like about the film, but I guess it makes sense as well. I guess maybe I just don't like it because how real it is. Like, when the sex scenes do happen between Maxwell and the black slaves, like they're too obedient. They say, yes, master, I liked it, master, or no, I'm not feeling sad, master, stuff like that. And that's the hardest part to watch for me. You know what I mean? I know that's real, but that's also what happened in this scene too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like they're young and scared.
Yeah. And 14.
Yeah, like, and this is the men who can like whip them for hours or something like that, or they can be physically hurt, they can be killed. So yeah, it's kind of hard for them to act out, I would assume. And like I would probably act the same way if I was in their place, Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to even imagine that I would imagine that. I don't know, man.
There's a bit of trickery with him because up until this point, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, like he's a racist and he's a plantation owner and stuff like that. Yeah. And then we have the scene. Obviously, what he's doing is extremely like horrible, but at the same time, he's like kind of romantic. So it's like weird. Maybe that's why also the women were like, okay, like at least he's not gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
Because later on we see like him compared to another white man, and he, treats the girls completely different.
So Hammond is an interesting character because in some way he is actually the Mandingo of this film. And one thing about this film, this movie and book also popularized the idea of the hypersexualized black men. Of course, that existed before, but the name Mandingo, it became more associated with that trope with this film and book. But in a way, if you really think about it, Hammond is the Mandingo. He's the one that is having the most sex. He's sort of forced into sexual relations and relationships by his father. And the way he's able to not feel so bad about it is because he believes he has some sort of power and superiority because he is the white man, the son of the master, you know what I mean? But in a way, he's being abused and used as well. He just doesn't realize it, which is actually kind of deep because that's sort of like how white supremacy works. Like the white supremacists tell poor white people, like, hey, you're better than a black person. Meanwhile, they steal money from their pockets or force them to do, wicked things. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting situation with Hammond. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's real. Like, white supremacy is bad for all of us, not just for non-white people. Yeah. But for all of us. And it does come back to bite him in the ass at the end of the movie.
Because think about it, Hammond, at this point, he's probably, 24, 25. He's had multiple children with some of the black women here, but his mind has been so diluted. When his father sells his own children away, he doesn't even think that's a problem.
And also, he's unable to, be with, he's extremely attracted to black women. Like, he doesn't like white women. He wants to be with black women, but he's unable to live out his wants, basically.
That's crazy.
I mean, he is, but he also isn't because he's not able to marry the black woman he's having sex with. Right?
Let me ask you, do you think Hammond's attraction to black women is natural, or do you think it was sort of created because that's who he's been having sex with since he was 16?
It's natural in a way, if a white kid grows up among black people, he might naturally be attracted to black people more, maybe, or black women more in general, because that's just kind of how his community is. That's his in-group, right? At that point. So yeah, I think that's the thing maybe with him. I think, or I don't know, maybe he's just attracted to black women.
Maybe. I mean, come on now.
How can we know?
A lot of, the sisters that he has here, they might be a bit young, but they cute. So nobody's.
Yeah, okay, don't say that.
Yeah, I should.
That's weird, but I agree.
That is no Epstein, no Diddy, But I'm just saying, they got some cute people to play the girls that he's laying with. I would say. So yeah, it makes sense also as well. But I think it's more built. Hammond's attraction to black women is more built on the fact that it's who he's been around the most with, who he had his first sexual relations with, and who he feels more comfortable with, because a part of the sexualization of the women is that, black women are like this and white women are like that. Throughout the film, there's these comments from everybody involved, right? That white men are like this, black men are like that. And so I think Hammond has it in his mind that, it's easier to have sex with black women. Black women are more natural and free, and white women are more rigid and strict. And so he can't comprehend that, he could have the same relations with white women.
Yeah. And also, just in the house, we don't know who his mother is. There isn't a, old white lady in the house. Basically, his mother is Lucretia Borgia.
That's true.
But she probably raised him.
They say in the film his mother died when he was very young. And that's also why Hammond walks with a limp, because after his mother died, he was riding a pony, and the pony, trampled his knee. And that's why he always hobbles around in the house. But I also think that's part of the reason why Falconhurst looks so ghetto. They don't have a woman doing decor in the house or nothing like that. It's just two bros. It's two guys living in the house. So they don't care about nothing.
Lucretia just is not enough. She can't handle all of the work.
Yeah, it's these two nasty white boys living in the house.
She just let it happen.
She was yeah. Oh yes, master, this house look lovely.
Yeah.
Then she leave and she nasty ass cracker. Anyway, man, moving forward in the film, we see Cicero and Mem and other slaves who are going to be sold off because Cicero is going to be sold. They're sitting there talking about, it ain't right that white men treat us like this. Meanwhile, they have sex with our women. And don't you know that the white man deep down inside knows that we're men just like him, that we were born to be free just like him. And we get to find out that Memnon actually is from Africa. He was actually born there, and he says, I was born free. And he still remembers those times. And Cicero is teaching them how to read. And Memnon is reading, and Cicero is correcting him. And that's when Hammond walks in and says, what you doing, boy? And snatches a paper from him and, says, I'm so glad, Cicero, you're getting sold. And Memnon, you're going to get punished. So what did you think of that scene?
I liked that there was a scene like this because it showed these are people not just, obeying everything that's being told to them, but there is the passion for freedom. There's a fight in them, and it shows, and it was definitely a nice little break from all the brutalism that was going on.
Yeah, one of the big criticisms people have of slave films is that it's 90 minutes of black people just getting their head bashed in and whips on their backs, right? But this film has a good balance, I would say, of defiance and showing the constant fight back. One of my favorite frameworks for looking at slavery is that it wasn't black people being oppressed for 400 years. It was 400 years of warfare between black people by white people. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I look at this. It was these are men who are prisoners of war. Taking a man captive is a type of warfare. And for 400 years, our people didn't just get whipped on, beat on, killed, and cut up. You know what I'm saying? It was 400 years of active resistance against this type of oppression. So. Yeah.
Definitely we can see in the movie by different people that there is a resistance. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see more of Agamemnon, for sure. Maybe more conversations also with him and other characters.
I think that he did a prominent role throughout the film because he gives more commentary, so I'm satisfied with his level of screen time, and he definitely is an important character, and Cicero as well. And at this point in the film, I still thought Cicero was going to play a major part, he's going to be the protagonist, but that's not what happened. So basically, Hammond comes up to his papa, and you can see here, you can't see it because we're blocking the screen, but he's got oh, now I can't disappear. When I want to disappear, I can't disappear. Ain't that something? Okay, there's a little black boy on the screen, if you can see it right there. There's a white man's feet on it. And Maxwell comes and says, Papa, I catch Memnon reading, and Papa damn near has a heart attack. And he has to tell him, calm down. You know what I'm saying? And so here we see, Memnon tied upside down, getting punished and smacked on his buttocks until he starts bleeding. And this other guy breaks in, who is actually the cousin of Hammond. He breaks in and tells the black slave who's whipping Memnon, you're not doing it right. Hammond gets upset and he's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm your cousin, man. You don't remember? It's me. And he's like, oh yeah, what's up, man? Hey, you want to keep on whipping him? So, what did you think of those scenes when they were whipping on Memnon? And
I didn't really want to put this scene here, but I thought it was also kind of interesting, how in the beginning the producer said this is a sociological, movie, because in this scene in the barn, first you see the white man showing how to hurt another black man to another black man, right? And then there's also a kid in the barn, and a black kid, and he's telling this guy who's whipping his friend, you're not doing it right or something. And he's laughing, thinking as if this is some sort of play. And that kind of made me think, this is how it's penetrated into the minds of black people.
Right. Well, this is how the oppressor of any group of people makes the oppressed do the oppressing themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's, I think it was Foucault who wrote about how public executions were a way of not only punishing the accused, but also spreading fear and a type of entertainment for the people that are witnessing the public execution or public flogging. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, they didn't have prisons. You would just hang somebody in the street and everybody would watch, or somebody would get put in that little chair with their head and arms hanging out. You know what I mean? So like you said, the little kid watching it views it as entertainment, also putting it in his mind that this is normal. And the man who's doing the punishment is also in fear as well that he might be the one hung upside down. So it is sociological and psychological too.
Yeah, definitely.
But when he's introduced to the cousin who comes over, the cousin is asking for money. He's from another plantation, but they're on hard times. So Father Maxwell says, listen, it's time for you, Hammond, to get married. And your cousin is a nice girl. So if your cousin agrees to marry you, or you agree to marry her, then I will give money to the plantation that they come from, right? But if you don't like her, then then I won't give them the money. That's sort of, once again, showing how like Hammond is a pawn in this white supremacy. Yeah, he's a Mandingo. You know what I'm saying? Nobody looks at this. Nobody calls Hammond the Wandingo. but yeah. Also, this is where we get some pretty funny commentary, because Hammond is like, oh, I don't know how to have sex with a white lady. And his father says, you know, just do it like you do it with the black girls, but don't get fully naked. Keep your shirt on. You know, because white women hate to see a man naked. It freaks them out. So what did you think of those scenes?
Yeah, like once again, you know, Hammond feels like he's being used by his father, like for trading purposes, basically.
I don't think he even realizes that, but go ahead. I'll give my commentary later.
Like, I think neither of them realize that. It's just like kind of the way it is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just a commentary like about white women and black women, and also like Hammond saying like, I don't know how to have sex with white women and stuff like that. It felt like he didn't want to. Mm-hmm. Like he was like, I don't want to do that. Like I just want to keep living my life here with my black queens. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it felt like to me. But he of course couldn't say no to his father. Like he had to do it.
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't think either of them think about Hammond that way, because they're still operating on the old mindset that marriage is a type of business contract. And so, you know, the idea that the father is going to give money to the other plantation if his son marries his cousin, which is weird in and of itself, it's no different than the dowry. You know what I'm saying? Or the... or what's the inverse of a dowry? But anyway, the idea that, you know, marriage is an exchange of people for money. And I think this also relates to like the feminist critique that women were the original slaves. Women were traded in between families like property, exchanged for money and stuff like that in just, you know, the traditional marriage contract. So any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, you know, it's not really up to the woman here to choose if she wants to get married or not. It's up to the man. If he likes her, then she's lucky to be chosen. Mm-hmm. That kind of thinking, which makes it like what you said. But
even if women were the original slaves, which I tend to agree with that concept, it also shows how slavery and dehumanization of the other also dehumanizes and loses the self. Because think about how many men who were forced into marriage contracts with women that they didn't like, you know, just because it was convenient for the family or advantageous for the family. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, Hammond is about to get pushed into a situation that is not fun for himself either.
Yeah, I mean, these type of things like, I don't know, sexism, racism, they don't only affect the minority or like whoever is being oppressed. Mm-hmm. They affect everyone. Yeah. And same there. Like the sexism that women have to deal with at that time also affects men like Hammond. Mm-hmm.
There's also, you know, a lot of just... I can't understand this cognitive dissonance that is so extreme in this film, watching it in 2025, and I assume also in 1972, because some scenes are so intentional. Like, how can you say this but then do that? Like, because I believe right after this scene, there's a part when Hammond is in his bedroom getting ready to go to bed, and he has a naked black woman in his bed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And Mem is saying, like, I hope you pray for me before you punish me or something like that. Or maybe that came before Mem got punished, right? Yeah. But basically, like, well, Hammond says to Mem, I ain't got to pray for you, because I guess you can read now. Now go and get. And so the black woman gets up in the bed and says, Hammond, I'm knocked up. And he says, well, I've been looking for that. and she says, can I keep my baby? Can you please not sell it? And he's like, oh, no, now it's going to be good for you for us to sell it. That way you don't get too attached and you can have more. And then he gets down on his knees on his bed and starts praying. I'm like, bruh, like... How do you even think and say those two things at the same time? You know what I'm saying?
Is very delusional.
Yeah. What did you think about scenes like that where the people are saying, like, we're good Christian people, meanwhile they're, like, selling their own children?
I mean, I don't believe in religion, specifically for these reasons. That it's just like, these tools that are used to control people, to justify certain hateful things people do, and that's just like how I perceive things when it's connected to religion. And that's the same thought I had in this movie. Like, I will never trust anyone who says, trust me, I'm a Christian. Trust me, I'm a Muslim. Like, no, those things won't make you like righteous. Those things don't make you a good person. And this is literally the proof here in the movie. I mean,
you and I aren't that different in relation to religion and when I think about hypocrisy, because the reason I never consider myself a Christian is because very early on I learned about how religion was used to control slaves and justify slavery. And so, yeah, it's hard for me to look at, the cross and realize that the oppressor force the cross on our people and also use the brainwashing tactics of the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving forward in the story, though, Hammond goes off with his cousin to the other plantation. And, for the night, the father treats them to two black women, who are enslaved on this plantation. And one of the girls is a virgin. She's the dark-skinned one here. Her name is Ellen. Meanwhile, Hammond's cousin right here takes the light-skinned girl right here and starts whooping on her and also kissing her in the mouth, which disgusts Hammond. He's like, ugh, ugh, brother, ugh. You don't kiss him in the mouth. We just hit him hard from the side. You feel me? And Hammond is so disgusted by his cousin kissing the girl, not whooping her. By the way, he's so disgusted by him kissing her. He goes into the other room and he's like sad, like, what have I come to? I mean, what does this world come to? And so the other black girl, her name is Ellen, she comes up to him and she's like, oh, Hammond, you're so different than other white men. And he's like, why? Because you're so nice, kind of. And so he actually really starts to like her, and he also likes her because she's a virgin. So what did you think of him meeting Ellen, who becomes a major point in this film?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt Ellen is a beautiful woman, like we can see here. It's just like, when you think about the reality of it, and the reality is that they're probably like 13, 14-year-old girls. Yeah. That's kind of disgusting.
Very trippy.
Yeah. And also the whole time, like, we had this scene with Ellen and Hammond, I was thinking the other girl is getting like... Yeah.
Beat on and raped in the other room.
Like, what is happening to her? Yeah. Please, someone help her.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows like how Hammond's, I don't know, white saviorism? Like, just, I don't know what he is.
He's a very interesting
like
white
nice master?
He's only nice because he didn't beat Ellen. That's it. Like, that's how low the barrier is.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, he's not actually helping the other girl who's getting tortured by his cousin. Yeah. But he's just like, Ellen... I'm not going to kiss you in the mouth, but you don't have to be afraid of me because I'm not going to whoop you either. Like, it's just, once again, delusional.
Yeah. It's so funny because, some people online who have, like, hatred for black women that date white men nowadays, they say, oh, black women don't have the same standards for white men. And, like, this is kind of like an example You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a black man has to be perfect. A white man could just be okay, and black women fall all over them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is like a silly example. It was kind of a joke, but I'm just saying, like, Ellen's bar is so low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, this also reminded me, which is going to sound really, like, weird, but the Sultan and the Harem Girls, because,
in Turkey.
In Turkey,
in the Ottoman Empire,
because we had the series, and it's like, in the series, you see the woman acting, and in reality, those women were probably 15, 16, children. You know, being raped by the Sultan. And then, sort of like gaining a position of power because they were raped. Yeah. And it's kind of like the same thing with Alan here. Like, she's like, oh, like, maybe if I become his favorite or something, I would have some sort of privilege, which later we see, like, she kind of asks for a privilege, which I guess she didn't get. Yeah,
I think maybe also Ellen saw, like, okay, this is maybe a white boy I can manipulate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe she saw it in his eyes, because I believe she really didn't think he was nice. Maybe he was just weaker than other white men who are just brutal and vicious and love to torture and torment these young girls.
Yeah, I think he, like, right after also seeing her friend getting, like, tortured by the other guy, she probably felt like, I'm lucky. Like, I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah. But Ellen becomes important later. You know, Ellen and Hammond, you know, hook up that night, of course. And moving forward, Hammond is now in New Orleans shopping for slaves. He also recently, I believe, got married. No, he didn't yet. He didn't yet. Sorry. Anyway, he goes shopping with his cousin in New Orleans, and he's looking for a Mandingo. We forgot to mention this earlier, but the Maxwell family is obsessed with Mandingos, which are a tribe of Africans who they believe to be pure blood and strong and hard workers and great breeders. And at the beginning of the film, the Maxwell family is actually sad that one of their Mandingos died. And Hammond is also going to his cousin's plantation to see if they got a Mandingo, but their Mandingo recently died. So that's why they go to the slave auction. And this is where we get introduced to the character of Meade, who is this black man standing right here. He is about to be sold to this fat German woman who's a widow, who pretty funnily reaches in his pants to grab his penis and says, "Oh, good job," is about to buy him. But Hammond gets so upset that this white woman might buy this Mandingo, he like overpays for Meade to take him away from her, because he cannot stand the idea of a black man, you know, being the sexual object to a white woman. And so this is how he gets his Mandingo back, by buying Meade at the slave auction. What do you think of this scene?
Yeah, that was just kind of sad, because I was like looking at this man, you know, Meade, and it's like he got two options. He could be like this sex object for this old, you know, fat German lady, or be, you know, something, worker.
Well, he really has no options, but go ahead.
Yeah, a worker for, you know, him. And I was just in my head thinking, like, I wonder if he would have made a different choice if he was able to choose it or something. I don't know. Which he can.
Well, of course he would choose freedom. He would choose none of them.
Yeah, of course.
It's probably not different options. He had two different fates, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Maybe that was a weird thought. But.
No, but yeah, it's like he probably would have chosen the German lady. Let's keep it real. If he had to choose, gun to his head.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because she did look kind of nasty.
She looks really nasty.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, it was just like another, you know, social scene.
Yeah.
Of that time.
Yeah. The slave auction scene was very graphic. You know what I mean? Once again, I think what we should always get from these slave films is that you know, capitalism results in, you know, the commodification of the human being, the alienation from ourselves. Like, how can you look at people on a block and say, I will buy him. He is less than human. And there are also, as you can see right here, there's like a little girl and he's, you know, she's being sold off because the auctioneer is right there. So yeah, it gets, it's so crazy to think that once again, this happened, you know, this is real life that actually went down. So shall we continue?
Yeah.
So moving forward, Blanche is being told by her family, do you think cousin Hammond is handsome? And the father is saying, or I believe the brother says, like, it doesn't matter if Blanche thinks he's handsome. He has to think she's pretty because we need this money. We're going broke. Can't you see our house? We're balling out of control. So, also, though, in this family, there's a dark, dirty secret because Blanche secretly, many years ago, or probably still, was raped by her brother right here, right? And so she's not a virgin is the secret that she's holding on to. And on top of that, it was an incestuous rape. There's a scene when Blanche comes outside because she's so distraught because she really wants to leave this family, but she doesn't know if Hammond will accept her. So she says to Hammond, well, look at me like a wench. Am I good enough to buy? You know what I'm saying? And, Hammond says, I think you're pretty, and I think I do want to marry you. And he says, can I kiss you? And one of the most famous scenes here is like Blanche says, don't kiss me unless it's just a cousin kiss or something like that. Yeah. But what did you think of Blanche's dilemma and her whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, once again, it kind of shows like how these ideas, these sexist ideas were like indoctrinated into woman's mind, like, that she can see like the only way of her getting rid of her abuser, which is her brother, I guess, is to get married off to a guy that she doesn't know also, and probably like have babies for him and things like that. And in reality, she's probably also very young too, probably like 14, 15, 16, whatever. Yeah. So that was what I was thinking. She's also like I don't know, maybe it's just like the actor, and I like this actress as well.
Susan George.
Yes. But like her face or her demeanor is like very suited for weird characters.
Yeah. Like in Straw Dog, she plays like this hippie girl who goes back home and gets assaulted by the men she used to know. And here, she plays this, daughter of a master slave owner plantation mistress, and she's been assaulted by her brother, what I mean? Like she's very good at embodying those weird characters and very believable. And
I feel like, Hammond is not an ugly man, so I feel like she's imagining this fairy tale in her mind. Oh, I'm gonna marry like the nice looking guy and I'm gonna be happy. And then at the same time I was thinking, Hammond, like, are you really attracted to this lady that you said you wouldn't be attracted to? Yeah. So I was thinking, like, what is Hammond thinking?
Well, I mean, Hammond
kind of like he's playing it.
I mean, Hammond is a papa's boy. I think he's trying to do anything to please his father. So he's like, not only am I going to bring back a Mandingo, I'm going to come back with a very nice, beautiful wife. And even though she's my cousin, he's still going to be happy because we need real children to pass on the plantation and the business to. So. Yeah, I think, two things I thought about in this scene here with the brother and the sister. It made me think, one, in the South, it's really nasty. We got nothing else to do but hump on each other. And it also reminded me of this book I read many, many years ago. It's this Indonesian book about a family that had an incestuous relationship. The brother was basically raping the sister. And it was also during colonial times, too. I forgot the name of that book. If you know what it is, put it in the chat. But, something else, though, like Blanche is in a situation kind of no different than the female slaves. You know what I mean? She's looked at as a breeding tool, albeit like a higher, level one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead. Anything?
I was also thinking like maybe because this cousin of Hammond, he's kind of more extreme than Hammond himself. And I was thinking he might have raped Blanche because he also wanted to keep the blood pure, like because families do stuff like that. Yeah. No, that's real. Like, because the cousin of Hammond, he shows up, he starts whooping the slaves harder. He, rapes the black girl with a belt and starts choking her and stuff like that. And he might be also a twisted white supremacist that believes, hey, what's more pure than two brothers and sisters who are both white having babies? Like, he might be that sick. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that.
Yeah. But moving forward, Hammond and Blanche get married, but when Hammond has sex with her in New Orleans that first night, he's very upset. And he says, "What man did you have before me?" Because he's had sex with plenty of women and plenty of virgins. And he knows a virgin when he sees one. And he said, "Blanche, you ain't it." And he is pissed. And so because he is so pissed that his wife had sex with another man, he goes to the whorehouse. What did you think of that, when Hammond found out and then he goes and bees with the hoes?
I mean, he doesn't even with the hoes, though. Like, the hoes are thirsting after him, and he's like, no, I don't like white woman, So he's not even interested in those women. Mm-hmm. And once again, there's like this, whole picture of the environment at that time. And, in the beginning of the movie, they're talking about like, oh, I heard the woman in New Orleans give it up, the white woman. Yeah. And you can see like why that is because it's a bigger city. So they have like a brothel. Yeah. And yeah, like it was like kind of a fun scene because this environment is kind of, I don't know, burlesque. It is kind of fun, but obviously we know, the truth. Yeah, it was. I mean, this is a sexual movie. This is a movie where sex is the main draw and main theme of the film, and how sex in different ways at different power dynamics influences people, right? So being at the whorehouse, we notice that, there are many rich and powerful men that are coming here, right? And Hammond actually is getting offered some free coochie because his father used to come there as a when he was younger, and Hammond was just a little boy and stuff like that. So that's how, entrenched sex is as a part of the, framework of this time. And like, it's like you said, he doesn't like having sex with white women, so he just sort of drinks and minds his own business. While meanwhile, outside, his slave, Mead, is sitting in the garden, and one of the house slaves that works at this brothel says, "Can't no nigga be out here?" And he says, "Oh, well, I'm Massa Hammond's slave, and I'm going to be out here." And so they get into a fight, and all the white slave owners are watching from the balcony, and, they start betting on the fight and say $5,000 to the owner of the winner. And Mead wins the fight, and that's when, Mead gets the idea. No, Hammond gets offered to use Mead as a prime boxer, which is also another thing that Mandingos are used for. So what did you think of that turn in the film? Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the first thoughts I had was like, why are y'all two fighting each other? Like, please don't. I know, because like you're already in enough inflicted pain from other people, from white people, so stop it. But then also you can see how the brutality of like white people around them, just watching these two people like fight till death, basically. I mean, he doesn't die at the end, but like them just enjoying it like it's some sort of show. Yeah. It shows that as well. So that's what I was thinking. I guess one of the plot holes in the film is that, the Mandingos are very prized as being good workers and strong and stuff like that. So then they make them fight to the death. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's one plot hole, I guess, that's in the story that didn't make sense for me. Yeah. And I don't know. I thought it was also like an interesting choice. The guy who wants to fight Mead is like dressed like a Napoleon. Dandy. Yeah. Like a Napoleon soldier or something. Yeah. Which I don't know if it's trying to allude to the fact like this guy, is he with the masters, no, like because Mead looks like kind of a working class person. Yeah, no. During slavery, especially in France and the UK, where there were slaves, there were black people enslaved in the UK, Spain, and France. It was fashionable to buy black Africans, especially young children, and dress them up in the finest clothes. Like the same way you see people with like, little dogs and they make them wear like outfits and cute collars and stuff like that. That was the fashion, to have them in liveries. Well, this type of outfit is called livery. Okay.
Yeah. So moving forward, Mr. Hammond here sees, Ellen again before he leaves the plantation with his Mandingo and his wife, and buys Ellen from the owner, right, from his cousins or his uncle, whatever. And he pays, I believe, a lot of money. And as he's sitting in the carriage with his new wife, Blanche, she is pissed.
Yeah, she asks, like, is she for the Mandingo?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, she ain't.
She from me. So, which is wild. That's crazy. Like, that's wild behavior. Like, you outside with your main girl and your side chick is in the back seat. That's wild behavior. Like, Hammond didn't care. He had no finesse.
Yeah. I think, like, at this point, I was thinking he was just looking for a reason to not like his wife. And he found it because she wasn't a virgin. So it was like kind of an easy way out for him to threaten her and, kind of use it to not be with her, basically.
It is kind of an easy way out, and it's an excuse men have always used. Oh, I can't like you because you're not a virgin. It's really stupid. But at this time, it was still a major thing because, like, men marrying virgins, even for, the whites at this time, was considered, vitally important. You know what I mean? You don't want to have a bastard, That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's kind of ironic that he was, nervous about his wife being with somebody else and he might have a bastard when that's sort of like what happens at the end. Spoiler.
Yeah.
It's very ironic. But so they go back to the plantation, Falconhurst, and Blanche says, is this it? Ugh, brother, ugh. Like, they pull up at Falconhurst, and it's all dingy and disgusting. And, Hammond is saying, like, we're not sleeping together this evening. Mama and Dad had a different room, so I guess we're going to do the same thing, too. And, he's still very upset she was with another man, and Blanche starts losing it. She starts yelling at the black slave and everything like that. So what did you think about, their toxic relationship?
Yeah, I mean, once again, I think Hammond found a good reason to not be with her. And also he was, I think, excited to have Ellen back with him in the plantation. So he was just like,
plotting, waiting. Wait until midnight when he can creep off.
Yeah, and I think this is where, like, he also threatens to tell his father that Blanche wasn't a virgin. Yeah. So it's kind of like Blanche can't do anything, and she just gets her aggression out of the other people around her.
Yeah, and it's sort of weird that Hammond didn't tell his father, because I believe if the girl wasn't related to him, he would have told his father. But it's sort of like a family affair. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't be telling my brother, your daughter is a slut or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's sort of like insulting.
It is, but also kind of like, once again, I think he got like a reason not to be with her. And I don't think he wanted to ruin that dynamic. Like, he didn't want to, find another white girl, marry her, and then be forced to have, sex with her. Yeah. Especially when he doesn't like white women. And
especially also when he got that little tiny weeny peeny. We saw Hammond's penis in the film. That shit was microscopic. It was very tiny.
I mean, maybe he's not a shower, he's a grower.
Okay, look at you lusting after Hammond.
I'm not lusting.
You want to be a part of his harem too?
No. I'm just saying. Okay. No shame for the little dicks.
Wow, okay. Anyway, moving forward. So they're now starting to train up Meade. Father Maxwell is very, very, very happy that he got a Mandingo. He's so excited. He's like, a real Mandingo, yeah. And so he also is talking about breeding Hammond with the other slaves there. But actually, Meade is related to somebody else on the Maxwell plantation. But the father's like, so? I don't care. And Hammond's like, that'll be incest if we breed him. And he's like, well, then we'll just kill it. You need to get all those stupid woke ideas.
Meanwhile, he's married to his cousin.
Yes. Once again, the hypocrisy, the cognitive dissonance.
That's why I put this here. Like, yeah, it's so silly.
Papa, that'll be incest. What you married to your cousin. But anyway, what did you think of, Papa Maxwell when he's introduced to Meade and his plans for him to fight him and breed him and everything?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was also trying to read Mead. Like, I was
Mhm.
thinking, oh, is he gonna be like Cicero? And I was thinking, where's Cicero?
Yeah.
Are they gonna like team up
Mhm.
with Cicero and stuff like that? I was kind of thinking where like he was standing with everything as well. And obviously, like, you know, just like, I don't know, their evil plans and how to enact them. Like, you know, this guy is gonna get used to fight, which is not good for anybody. But it's just entertainment for white people.
That's a very good point. You know, when I saw this scene here and, you know, Mead's interaction with the Maxwells when he meets them, there are so many echoes of American slavery that still reverberate through American culture today. And one of the big things is in athletics, where, you know, young black men who have been trained to run very fast with the ball or dunk or hit home runs, you know, for the privileges of having money and access, you know, they trade their bodies and their lives to these rich, powerful white men, right? No different than slavery. You get what I'm saying? Well, of course, very different. Sorry, I take that back. Very different from slavery because these men become multimillionaires. But it's still very reminiscent of it today when the Los Angeles Lakers to the Boston Celtics are owned by rich white men and all their teams are young, very athletic black men. You get what I'm saying? So when I look at Mead here and he has this face of like, yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm being, you know, valued and honored for my body and my physique. And these two white men are looking down on him like this. It just makes me think of, you know, LeBron James, Deion Sanders, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. You know what I mean? Not saying that those men dehumanize themselves, but it's a very traditional dynamic that exists in our society and culture. So
yeah. Even the similarity between these dynamics makes you feel like a bit iffy.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not hating on LeBron or any other black athlete that wants to get their money. I'm just saying, like, there's a very good reason why, you know, there has not been a black owner of an NFL team. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, the majority of the NFL is made up of young black men. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with the NBA or the MLB and shit like that. So, shall I continue?
Yeah.
All right, moving forward, they're really training him. And once again, the stuff they believe is so weird, but it also echoes back to, like, you know, the Roman and Greek times, because they're making Mead bathe in a boiling pot of salt water. And they're saying, like, this is what the Roman slaves used to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting how they always try to harken back to some time in antiquity. And they're training him and making him fight. What did you think about this, if anything?
Yeah, this was like painful because you kind of like imagine what Mead is going through here. And it's, like you said, it's kind of a weird, like, I don't know, thinking.
Yeah.
Once again, it's kind of delusional. And, you know, I like the little hints, like the old white guy still has the little boy under his feet.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And, yeah.
Once again, this is all very sci-fi. Like, when you think about slavery, it all is very, like, how could you think that? How could this happen? How could this, society work and stick together? But I also...
Why do you even have this pot? Like, who has this pot? What is it for?
Well, I mean, cooking 100 years ago before electricity was probably very different. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to feed 50 people on the plantation. You need a giant pot.
And at the same time, you boil people in your giant pot.
I know, that's gross. Like, they probably use that same water to boil, like, a ton of rice.
Yeah, and also wash clothes and also boil people.
Yes, that's crazy. What? Yeah, that's crazy. But I thought it was interesting how, you know, Agamemnon is the name of one of them slaves. Cicero is the name of one of the slaves. They keep mentioning, the ancient Greeks used to boil their slaves before they fight and stuff like that. And I thought it was very interesting how they kept on going back to that ancient past to justify their existence as well.
Yeah.
And color their existence as well.
Yeah, once again, it's like kind of like this delusion that, we're coming from a great lineage, and this is what the greats did, so this is what we should be doing still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving forward, though, as Mead is getting trained to fight, Agamemnon is teasing him, saying, when you gonna learn to bark? When you gonna learn to growl like an animal? And when you gonna learn the color of your skin, Mead? And I think Mead claps back at Memnon and says, like, as soon as you stop being a smiling, buck-toothed, dancing nigga.
Yeah.
So I love this back and forth between Mead and Mem, but what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, Mem doesn't like that two black men are fighting each other, so that's why he's sort of like crucifying, Mead, like, oh, why are you fighting another black man? But yeah, he's also being delusional a bit because you're also, playing the two sides, and that's what Mead is doing too. That's what sort of everybody has to do in order to stay alive.
I think, going back to the scene where Cicero and and Mem were reading the book, it makes me think now that Mem is actually like the leader of the rebellion. And maybe he recruited Cicero because what he's doing here is trying to bring Mead into the fold of the black men who are going to fight against the system. But what do you think about that?
I don't think he necessarily has like a set group, but I do think he's trying to just like sort of enlighten other, black people around him and maybe do start a movement. But, like I think he had Cicero and then Cicero got sold, so he lost his main men because, and maybe he's trying to replace him with Mead now. I think there might be on the plantation a group of men who are thinking about rebelling and stuff like that, and that's what Mem is trying to organize. You know what I'm saying? Because he just got punished not that long ago. His buttocks are still probably got holes in them. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but he's still like trying to wake the brothers up. So,
I mean, and I also think it's kind of like this mental rebellion, like mental exercise that, you might be acting and being a certain way, but also don't forget, like, we are human, we are smart, we are like the same as them. So let's not forget these things. Yeah. And I think he also tells himself and others around him to like keep that real, because
keep it black.
Yeah, because it's hard. Like it's constant indoctrination. Yeah.
But Mead, I think Mem realizes, Mead is going to get special treatment and good food and, if he becomes the best fighter for the white man, but eventually he's going to break down. So Mem is like saying, like, wake up, man, use your strength for freedom, not to fight for them. But meanwhile, up in the big house, Blanche gets on top of Hammond and says, touch me on the inside and call my name. And Hammond says, get back, wench. I want that black meat.
She kind of also starts drinking a lot, and she gets drunk and stuff like that to cope with her pain, I guess. But yeah, Hammond does not.
He does not want that. He wants Ellen. Yeah, and he's up in Ellen. So here we have him laying up with Ellen. And this is when Ellen reveals that she believes she's pregnant. And, Hammond is actually very excited and happy about this. Bless you, by the way. Bless you. Hammond is excited about this because he really likes Ellen a lot. And he says, oh, we're not going to sell her or him like the other suckers, which they call babies. We'll keep them on the plantation. And Ellen says, when my baby is born, can he or she be free? And Hammond gets pissed. And I really like that scene when she says that because the music changes too. Instantly. It's like it went from happy music to like dun-dun-dun-dun. And Hammond's like, what'd you go thinking that for? Huh? You want to be free? Are you crazy? And she starts crying, and then he's like, okay, baby, she'll be free. Don't worry, honey. The sucker can go free. And Ellen is like, well, what did you think of that scene?
I think like kind of the reasoning Ellen gives Hammond kind of shows how dumb this idea like of white supremacy or like slavery is, because she's like, she's explaining her idea and it makes sense to him. And he's like, oh yeah, like sure, he can go free. So yeah, and I don't know, it was also like, once again, her trying to gain some advantage so that the generation after her could have something better than her, because she's already like sort of trapped in this life. But she was saying like, oh, like as a man, if he's not free, then he will either work till death, or he will be like fought till death. So I don't want our son to die. So can we have this thing? And it's also kind of showing like this sacrifice that she's making for the next generation.
Going back to the book White Women, Black Men, Illicit Sex by Martha Hodes, she makes it a point that some of the people that were having these relations were doing them out of the idea that it's not really about attraction or love, but the opportunity for our children to go free. There was this marriage between a white woman and a black man in like the late 17th century. And this was before the formal establishment of like white supremacy and the idea that blacks are generationally enslaved and cursed. And so the descendants of that union between this white woman and this black man, like 100 years later, people were claiming to be descendants of that white woman so that they could be free as well. And so, once again, this story this story right here with Ellen's part is trying to highlight that idea that, people are doing things sometimes not even for themselves, but their children, in the hopes that they'll be free. So that's what I was thinking about during this scene.
Yeah.
But Hammond gets his black queen, and Dr. Umar is proud. And moving forward in the story, Cicero is trying to get free for real, and he's running away. And the people are like shooting at him, who are chasing him, and they sick the dogs on him, and they also sick Meade after him, because Meade is strong and fast, faster than all the other white boys. And Meade jumps on Cicero after, I think, he got shot too, so he's kind of like limping through the forest. And Cicero says to Meade, "You're gonna know that you killed a black brother. You're a part of the system. You know better than those Peckerwoods." And Meade actually lets Cicero go after he says this, but then Meade is caught anyway because he got slowed down. And so they hang Meade up, and he gives his famous last words: "Kiss my ass." Cicero gets caught in his. He goes on a long tirade about, you Peckerwoods, I'm not going to die free. I'm a man. And somewhere here, little trivia, Sylvester Stallone is in the background somewhere. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's this guy right here. I think this is. That might be Sylvester Stallone right there, bro. Right here.
Him?
Uncredited. Somewhere in this scene, Sylvester Stallone is there. Maybe he's the white guy that slapped Cicero across the face and said, "Shut up, nigga." But what did you think of Cicero's last stand?
Yeah, Cicero is a real one. And I think he was also the person that kind of snapped something in Meade's mind. Because, he had, for a second, he had this conundrum in his mind. Like, I have sort of had this privilege between like Hammond, and if I, maybe not let him go, and if I'm the one who catches Cicero, maybe I'll get even more of a privilege. But then he, I think, decided at the end, like, it's not worth it because this is one of me, you know, this is a part of me. And then he lets go. Of course, it's too late. And like this scene was kind of legendary. Like, he basically roasts all these white people around him, and he tells the truth to their face, and everybody know it's the truth, but they're just like looking at him and sort of accepting, in a way, all the atrocities that they did. And they don't have a problem with doing those things. The way like he is. But this was definitely like a really inspiring scene, even though it was sad. Also, I was inspired by Meade too, because throughout the film, all the male black characters are playing this fine line between, being defiant and being obedient, right? And Meade, when he's given that choice, are you going to help a brother get free? He decides to let a brother get free. It's not enough, but he it's so complex. Like all these layers for the characters are
very complex, and you can analyze their actions and not see that they're just flat. Like there's no straight Uncle Toms. There's no straight, rebellious people. Like even Cicero at certain points was being obedient. Like at the very beginning, they threw the stick and he went to go fetch it. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, at the same time, he's teaching people how to read. It's very interesting.
Complex.
Yeah, very interesting, very complex. So, but rest in peace, Cicero. You a real one. You a real one. Moving forward in the story, though, this is when, I believe Meade travels with Hammond to New Orleans for the big Mandingo fight. And when he leaves, Blanche calls Ellen up to her room and says, I want you to get naked, you slut, you wench, you're trying to take my man. And, Blanche starts beating on Ellen. I think Lucretia Borgia breaks into the room and says, stop it, Blanche, stop it. But Blanche chases Ellen down the hallway and then ends up like pushing her down the stairs, causing her to like lose her baby. What did you think of Blanche and Ellen sort of scene together?
Yeah, this is the problem with white women. Instead of like actually getting mad and taking revenge on white men, they take revenge on other people. Here, black woman, right? This was just like sad to see that there could have been a sisterhood, but no, of course not. But yeah, and then this is also when she learns that Ellen is pregnant, because Lucretia Borgia says like, don't hit her, she's pregnant.
And that makes Blanche even more mad. Yeah,
that makes her even more mad because she wants to have a baby by Hammond, and she's not given that, which kind of like I guess makes her feel betrayed. But it's the wrong person to be taking your revenge on,
right?
And yeah, like here I just felt bad for like Ellen that she fell, and it was kind of like obvious there that she was gonna lose the baby.
Yeah. It's such a weird dynamic because Blanche has nowhere to go. She can't tell, her stepfather, her uncle as well, stepfather, uncle.
Yeah.
Damn, this is country as fuck. She can't tell her stepfather, your son is cheating on me with other women, because he's like, yeah, I know, that's how we make money, bitch.
Actually, the uncle/stepfather doesn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, that's how we make money. He's doing his job, humping on the black slaves. Duh. Yeah. So, like, why are you being jealous? And he would also tell her, Blanche, you come from this world too. You know what it is. This is what us men do, and just deal with it. But yeah, so she just ends up taking it out on Ellen, and like you said, it is sort of this showing sort of like the divide between black feminism and white feminism. White feminism for a long time was just about the idea of how can I get closer in proximity to whiteness and power for basically us, right?
Yeah.
Not counting all the women that were abused under the system of white supremacist patriarchy. So
yeah, definitely. And I was also thinking like Ellen didn't probably even want to be pregnant by Hammond. She didn't want to be here. Obviously, she wants to be free, and she probably didn't want to have his baby. And she's put in this position because of Hammond.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all nasty.
Yeah.
It's all the man's fault. But what do the women do? Catfight. So c'est la vie. But moving forward to what's happening in New Orleans, Meade is fighting this big Mandingo from Jamaica, whose name I totally forgot, but he is scary.
Meade is from Jamaica.
No, Meade is not from Jamaica. The other guy is.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Sure, Meade is from Jamaica, but he's also fighting this other guy who is from Jamaica as well. Sure, and this guy has like teeth whittled down to look like razors. He's a biter, and he's bigger than Meade too. And there's a point in the fight when you think Meade is gonna lose because he's getting his shit pushed in. Man, his eye is all bloody. He's getting torn up in the fight, but he actually ends up beating the guy in the competition by like biting him to death. So Meade has to like viciously, win this battle, and it's sort of a surprise. What did you think of the Mandingo fight?
Yeah, this was one of the most gory scenes also, and definitely like I think it was done well for a fighting scene, like the actors, but it was definitely brutal and hard to watch. And yeah, like it was sad to see, you know, these people have to kill each other so brutally for the entertainment of, you know, other people.
Yeah. So there is no, as far as I know, historical documentation to prove Mandingo fights to the death actually happened. That doesn't mean, though, I would say that they didn't happen. Slavery lasted over 400 years, so anything that you can imagine that could happen probably did happen. You know, for generations of people, right? So, but what I also got from this scene was the famous Mandingo fight in Django Unchained, and like how brutal that was, and how that was a major plot point in that story. And I definitely think Tarantino got something from this film. I think he's also mentioned he really likes this film, but that's what I was thinking of.
I also thought, like, okay, so when we thought Meade was gonna kind of lose the fight or die even. Hammond says, I yield the fight, right? But then Meade keeps on going. So I was in a conundrum, like, is he keeping on fighting to disobey Hammond? Or is he keeping on fighting to win the fight for Hammond? Like, I was like, what is his, you know, motivation?
That's a very good point, because technically he defied his master. That's a very, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
I was like, what actually is his motivation? Because it was kind of weird that he was in this position, yet he still kept fighting. Like, I would have stopped. Like, because he was getting beat.
That's a very good point. Yeah, because technically, you know, Meade defied his master by not stopping the fight. And that could have been his sort of like rebellion against the system, I guess. Like, I'm fighting for me. But, you know, it's sort of twisted because, you know, to win this fight, you have to kill this other black man who's in a similar situation owned by somebody else. So very interesting. It's a very complex sort of psychology and dichotomy he's dealing with right there. Very good point.
Yeah. And yeah, later I'll talk about it.
So, you know, after they win the fight, they get a lot of money, Maxwell and Hammond. And they buy some rubies, right? And the father says, you know, white ladies love them. Or Hammond says white ladies love them. Something like that, right?
The
father says white ladies love rubies, right? So they have these red ruby jewels that they're going to give to Blanche when they make it back, right? Yeah. And so they make it back to the plantation, and Meade is all bloodied up and bruised. But everybody is celebrating. The slaves, the people, everybody who is there. And they're saying, like, Meade, Meade, Meade. And Memnon comes up to Meade and says something so cold, you know, congratulations, not every black man get a chance to kill another black man. Ooh, ooh, deep.
And this is where I want to go back to his motivation, because Meade says back to Mem that, like, if I didn't kill him, he was going to kill me. So I had to do it. Like, I didn't have any choice. And I think now there's sort of understanding between each other at that point. So I think now, after the scene, I was thinking, oh, okay, he was faced with this situation, which was, again, kind of survival, and he didn't have a chance to, like, talk it out with the brother, you know? Like, he was going to get killed. So his only option, even though his, you know, master said that, you know, don't do anything, that's all he had to do. Like, he just had to survive and get through that situation, even though he didn't want to. Yeah.
I mean, the way I think about, you know, Meade's choices is sort of like no different than, like, you know, what black men are dealing with now, and also other people who are living under oppression or as minorities in society, right? Like, you're set up to fight against people that look like you and are in situations like yourself because of the white power structure. And a lot of the times they're sitting back laughing and collecting the money. You know what I mean? Like, think about drug dealers who are, you know, selling drugs in their own community with people that look like them, and going to war with other groups of people that look like them for the money. And meanwhile, one of you dies, or both of you die, or both of you go to jail, and the white man gets paid off for all of that, like Kanye said. You know what I mean? So that's what Meade's in. It's a wild situation for Meade.
Yeah, yeah.
But moving forward in the story, Hammond comes back and he's looking for Ellen, his true love, and the father, finds out first that Ellen lost her baby. So then he tells Ellen, you better shut up now and don't tell Hammond a single thing. You tell him that you fell down and that you lost the baby. And when Hammond comes and finds Ellen crying, his father tells Hammond that, that Ellen slipped and lost her baby. So as a way to make her happy, Hammond gives Ellen the ruby earrings that he bought for the white lady. So what did you think of that?
I think at this point, father is trying to navigate the toxic relationship Hammond has with his wife. And, Lucretia Borgia, I think, was the one who told Maxwell. He's trying to sort of manage everybody and make everyone kind of happy while also benefiting off of everybody.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing business from their backs.
Yeah.
And I feel Hammond wasn't even that upset because, he was like, oh, now I don't have to set him free.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
He wasn't even that upset. He was just upset that Ellen was upset.
Hammond is so twisted, yo. He has no problem selling his own children, hearing about one of his potential kids die, even if it's with the woman he loves. He is. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's okay, Ellen. Just take these earrings.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wicked. That's so wicked, bruh. Yeah. But giving the earrings to the slave girl, though, is so dumb, though. I understand he's doing it because he loves her and he wants to show her, how much he cares. But, as a storyline, it goes to show that maybe that pony stepped on his head as well as his knees. Because the way him be thinking makes no sense.
He's just reckless.
He is
reckless. He doesn't really care about the white lady.
Yeah, he doesn't care about the consequences at all. None at all. So, meanwhile, the father is, telling Blanche, you better act right, woman. You better act like a white woman. And he says, why don't you two start acting like real husband and wife? And, go have sex with your wife, man.
Yeah.
So.
And once again, kind of Hammond is forced to have sex with this white lady.
Yeah.
But he also gives her the necklace.
Yes.
Part of the rubies.
He is not good at managing his women. His game is just so off. It's just. Yeah. Yeah,
his father is disappointed. Because his father is like, it's okay if you have sex with other women, just keep it on the low.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just going to keep it on the highest.
keep it on the highest. Low key, Hammond does not know the meaning of low key.
Yeah.
But, meanwhile, after, Blanche gets the necklace and
the pity dick.
And the pity dick. She's all happy, I can't wait to redecorate this place and we're going to have such a big family and everything's going to be so great. And then Ellen walks in with the earrings and Blanche is just stunned. She's like, and they did that silence so perfectly in the film. The way it just drops dead silent when this happens. And you're like, oh, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. She's about to jump off the ledge. I thought she was going to jump on Ellen right then and there when she saw the earrings and rip it out her face. But what did you think of that scene?
This scene was kind of funny because also I think his father says something like, this boy is dumb.
This boy is dumb. Yeah.
Now that was a mistake or something alluding to the fact that Hammond is really stupid for doing this. And also he's getting Ellen in danger, even more in danger because she's already targeted by this vicious white lady who wants to have Hammond's dick.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even know about it. Ellen is just kind of
he's setting it that's so antagonizing, you know what I mean? They're gonna see each other again. Know Ellen works in the house. Your wife stay in the house. So you're gonna give both of them jewelry and tell them to wear it. That's a major plot hole, and that can only be explained that Hammond is dumb as hell.
Yeah.
But speaking of disability, do you think there was any point in having Hammond have a limp? Because I didn't see any reason for him having that limp, if that's supposed to highlight anything or be something we consider.
I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking of the fact that, maybe Mead is very healthy and strong, and Hammond is not. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That, like the fear of the black men's bodies and black men, as we also see at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
maybe that, but not really.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean,
that's just like me digging my down.
I tried to find some significance for Hammond having a limp and being a little bit handicapped throughout the film. I didn't find any. But basically, is the day when a lot of the slaves are getting sold off. And the woman that he had sex with at the beginning, one of the slave girls who gave birth, right? Her baby is being sold off. And Hammond actually comes out and says, you can actually keep her baby. And the father is actually kind of surprised because Hammond is doing some allyship, some weird allyship, I guess.
Not really.
But a lot of the people are getting sold off on the plantation. It is one of the most heartbreaking scenes because you see like wives like falling on the ground saying, please don't take my husband, please don't take my brother, my son, whatever, right? And yeah, it's just a major sell-off too. But what did you think of this scene?
Yeah, it sort of alludes to this idea, maybe if you have sex with Hammond as a black girl, like in the plantation, you might get to keep your baby, so that's kind of like the privilege and also that mind play, like, but in reality we can see like he doesn't actually care that this whole thing is putting apart like little kids from their moms or husbands and wives. Like he doesn't care. He just does it for one of the women he has sex with.
Yeah.
And it's also like, he goes up to Ellen and says, come with me. And Ellen thinks she's going to get sold off. And he says, no, silly, I'm just joking. We're going to take a road trip.
Yeah. The weird road trip. She gets to ride in the carriage while, like 20 people are getting stripped away from their families.
Yeah, so that kind of also showed me like Ellen is not delusional.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she's still aware that Hammond is not like an ally, basically.
Yeah, he's a wicked man. He's still a wicked man. Like there's no way like you can root for Hammond. You could like maybe sympathize and understand with his situation and plight, but still, like, to be able to do this so callously to different people, I have no sympathy for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so when Hammond leaves to sell the slaves off, Blanche tells one of the slave girls, I believe it's Lucretia Borgia, one of them, or the little boy. I think she tells the little boy to go and get Mead. And she calls Mead into her gothic room. And this is this is when the film starts becoming very gothic and dark. And I love the coloring and the shading in this section. So she says, Mead, I'm going to tell you a little story. I was going for a walk in the woods one day when you jumped on me and raped me. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I never did such a thing. And she says, shut up. Who are they going to believe? Me or you? And then she says, I want you to take your pants off. And so then, she ends up having sex with Mead. And Mead has no pullout game. None. Zero. Zilch. Like he's on top of her for like maybe 2 minutes. And then he's like, bussing. And so, yeah. What did you think of that scene?
Yeah, like the first scene when she's talking to Mead and making up the story, basically, it felt very classic. I don't know. Like, it's kind of like the, usual story white women tell, that they were raped by a black man in order to get the black man in trouble. So, yeah, that was pretty evil. And, when they actually get intimate, once again, I think I agree with you. Like, the lighting was really nice, the way it showed. But also, like, I kind of felt like, girl, like, you could have maybe seduced him, like, actually said that you are attracted to him because Mead is an attractive man, right? So, like, why do you have to, do all the threatening and stuff like that? But I guess as a woman, her position is different than Hammond's. Like, Hammond can seduce and play the sweet guy, but she can't, maybe.
Right. Plus, also, Meade probably would have been more scared, even if she tried to seduce him and say, this will be a secret between you and me. I won't tell if you won't tell. He's like, nah, this is way too much. Like, I'm not going to risk my life for some pussy.
Yeah, but, she was enjoying herself.
Yeah, yeah.
She was probably, like, once again, thinking, like, she was probably a teenager. She was probably, like, horny,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably also like a power dynamic for her in the sense that all the men she's probably ever had sex with were not her choice. Her brother was probably not her choice. Hammond is probably not her choice. It was just a way to get out. Here is her ability now to exercise power over a man. You know what I mean? And this has been something I've been thinking about in my head since I started doing some more like reading this past year and stuff. Like, was those women, those white women who accuse black men of rape, whether they had consensual sex or not even sex at all, is this a type of like attack back at patriarchy by saying like, we have these men's lives in our hands and we could sort of like, enact revenge on a type of masculinity. You know what I'm saying? That's what I often think about. Because, like, how do you lie to get somebody killed? You know what I mean? Unless you think they're not human or unless you're trying to get revenge. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Any comments on that?
I mean, I think, like, definitely it's a play of dominance, right? Because usually women are seen less than men. But in this case, because of the skin color, right, these women can dominate over this particular group of men. I don't know if it would involve revenge in every case, but it's definitely a show of power.
Yeah. But revenge against the patriarchy, I mean, not revenge against the individual, but like saying, like, I'm sick of being a woman in this world, being told what to do. I'm just going to lash out. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody has a bad job and their boss shits on them, so they go home and beat up on the kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do think it is like the example that you gave. Like, when you're being abused by a certain group, then you want to, like, inflict the same type of pain onto a group that is less powerful than you are. And I guess this is kind of what it is. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Yeah,
and this is what our friend Mad Villainy would call toxic femininity. Shout out Mad Villainy. But moving forward, I think one of the things that got missed in the story is that what they did force Meade to breed with one of the slaves who was also related to him, resulting in a pure Mandingo, this is sort of skipped over because they don't mention it other than when the baby is actually born. Yeah. But that's really fucking sick. Like, they made Meade have sex with, I believe, his own mother or sister or something like that. Yeah. Which is absolutely disgusting.
It is.
Very disgusting. But that's also when we find out that Blanche, it says, I'm pregnant, I'm with child. And everybody's so happy. They're happy about the incest baby and also the cousin baby.
Yeah, and then she downs like a glass of alcohol.
Yeah, that was the time. Let's celebrate my pregnancy with champagne. But what did you think of those scenes, if anything?
I mean, right after the sex scene with Blanche and Meade, when it comes right after that, I feel like there's a lot of like short foreshadowing, like I'm with a child, and you're thinking, it's not gonna be good, and this child is probably not gonna be able to live.
Yeah, ooh, that's dark. That's dark. But moving forward, Hammond keeps on professing his love for Ellen. Because, Ellen is avoiding him, I believe the fathers told Ellen, like, try to stay away from him and let him be with his wife and stuff like that. But Hammond is forcing, the love to still be there between Ellen and him, I think. So.
Yeah. And I guess, like, now that Ellen lost her baby and Blanche is pregnant, she feels like maybe she's defeated or something.
Yeah.
And, she's maybe trying to establish that bond again.
Yeah.
In case, like, she can get pregnant again, have a free child.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cute line, I would say. Ain't nobody never, white or black, gonna take your place, says Hammond. And Doja Cat melted in her seat.
Wow.
But basically, a few months pass, and Blanche gives birth, and
The same wet is here.
the same vet is here as well, yeah, to help the birth. But he also brings his wife, who is a midwife as well. And, I believe Blanche is like kind of intoxicated possibly, and she's screaming like, I hope it ain't black or something like that. I don't know if she did that before or after, but she was definitely screaming. And then, Maxwell and Hammond are waiting downstairs while all of this is happening. And when the baby comes, the midwife says, like, the baby is born, but the baby ain't black. She says that to the veterinarian. And the veterinarian says, well, we got to snuff it out. We have to kill it. So cut out the umbilical cord and let it bleed out. Yeah. And so they end up killing the baby right there, which was, what did you think of that? What did you think of that scene?
Yeah, I guess in their minds, I don't know what they were trying to do. Like, obviously they are trying to, like, not have this baby live, but also maybe somewhat protect Blanche, hoping, like, they could just, tell them the baby was born dead or something. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Which is still dumb, because he's going to want to look at his baby even if it's dead. So you killed the baby regardless.
Which is what happens later. Exactly. But obviously, like, it was just very sad, to see a baby getting killed. Like, it's a baby.
That was very common at that time, especially for babies that were born this way. There's a film that we watched about this French concerto. Do you remember the film?
Oh, yeah.
Chevalier.
Yeah, Chevalier.
Chevalier was this, it's a true story about this black French violinist who lived during the time of Marie Antoinette. He got a white woman pregnant in France, and they ended up killing the baby because, number one, it was the wife of another rich white French man. So, of course, he's going to be upset, that he fucked his wife. But still, the baby was born black. And also, going back to the book Martha Hodes wrote, this was a common occurrence for white women to pop out black babies every now and then. And so different things used to happen to them. Some white women would get pregnant and then go to a hotel and just leave the baby there. Some people would leave them at other plantations. So, a slave master woke up and found, I guess I got a new slave now. And some of them would hope and pray to do like what Blanche is doing here and say, let's pray the baby is not too black, right? And sometimes if the baby came out and it was definitely Negro, they would kill it or sell it away very quickly. And other times if the baby could pass, they would tell the husband, it's yours. You get what I'm saying? It was a very common thing. And I suggest everybody go read that book. It's a very, very good book. But any comments?
I guess once again, you can see the different level of like patriarchy because, Hammond, as a white man, he can get to have sex with all of the black women that he wants. And then also have babies and, help them keep the babies. Of course, that is kind of a good thing. But as a woman, Blanche cannot do the same. And her baby has to die. And,
It's also down to the matrilineal system that they established in America. So originally, slavery existed in Europe, right? But it was if your mother was a slave, then you were also going to be a slave, right? In other situations, right? But in America, they flipped it on its head and said, if your mother was free, then you will be born free as well. So that's also why this type of system couldn't last, because they couldn't create. If black men kept on having sex with white women in the antebellum South, there'd be a whole class of just free black people running around, and that couldn't happen.
It's just a win-win because you get to control white women and you get to control black people just in general.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the thing is, like, the womb of a black woman cannot create a white man, but the womb of a white woman can. You know what I mean? And so even if technically we wouldn't racialize them as white because they're free because they came out of a white woman, that, you know, I'm making it more scientific, but it's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Sorry, I confused all y'all right there when I just made it simple before. I apologize.
Yeah, it's just saying sentences like that feels very eugenics.
Yeah.
And it's just...
No, but sociologically. Go read Martha Hode's book. She makes it much better. She explains it much more better than me. I'm fucking it up. Anyway, we're about to be done with this movie review. So this is when Hammond finds out. And once again, the silence says all in this scene. The look on his face, everything. He is aghast.
And she is scared. Like,
she is scared.
She's like, help me, Lucretia Borgia.
Help, please. And Lucretia says, I don't listen. I saw it happen, but I don't mind white folks' business. I ain't no snitch. So Maxwell is kind of mad at Lucretia, but, you know, she says, you know, they had sex about 4 times. That happened, you know.
And I think she was also defending Mem, because she was saying, like, Blanche was the one who called him to come up to his room, and, you know, it's your wife who was, like, demented.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. Like, he didn't rape her or anything.
Yeah.
So she was, now we see, like, Lucretia Borgia's kind of, you know,
a little bit,
yeah.
as much as she can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shout out Miss Buttersworth. Yeah. But basically, you know, Hammond decides he has to poison his wife, so he grabs some poison they used to kill old slaves. And, you know, Blanche's last words to him are like, you know, I only did it because of what you did with Ellen. And, you know, she's essentially saying, I'm sorry. And after he, you know, forces Blanche to drink the poison, he leaves and he goes outside with his shotgun to look for Meade. And Ellen runs up and says, don't kill him. Please don't kill him. But, you know, Hammond grabs her by the face and says, don't ever think that you're anything more than, you know, an N-word to me. You're nothing but a slave to me. You mean nothing. And he pushes her down to the ground. So what did you think of him killing his wife and then telling his mistress, you know, be gone?
Yeah, I think, like, this is when very heavily there's that fear of the black men by white men. Because once he had that, like, thought, oh, like, you know, I can't get my wife pregnant, but he can, like, Meade can. So I think that fear just, like, took over him, and he, you know, forgot all the nice things and all the love and all the whatever that he had. Fly away. I
mean, Meade just won him $12,000 or something like that. And on top of that, Meade birthed a son for him by a woman he didn't want to have sex with. In a way, Meade sort of is helping him and out. He birthed a pure Mandingo by having sex with his mom as well. So it's like, in a lot of ways, you know, it's just once again, the psychic fear he has of black men makes him overlook all the positive things that Meade is doing for his life.
Yeah, because Meade is his favorite, right? Yeah,
Meade is his favorite. Meade is kind of the homie, you know, as homie as you could get under slavery.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if this happened today, like, damn, Meade fucked my wife, got me $12,000, and also made me more money. Man, I'm going to give him a promotion. He needs to fuck my wife all the time. If this was 2025. But it's 1825, so yeah, it's not the same.
He can't handle being a cuck.
He can't handle being a cuck. The term wasn't invented yet. Yeah. But if Hammond knew, he would have been like, oh man, this is hot.
Well, yeah, like, technically he didn't want to have sex with his wife, so, you know.
Yeah, he didn't know about the freak-offs yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, he walks up to Meade and tells him to, like, boil a big pot of fire, and he's going to tell, and Hammond tells him to get in, but Meade says no. And so Meade is saying, like, I always had respect for you, Master Hammond, and don't do this. And Hammond ends up shooting Meade in the shoulder. And then Meade says, I somehow thought you was better than a white man. But he ends up saying, like, you're nothing more than like a peckerwood or the devil or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so then, Hammond shoots him again, and Meade falls into the boiling pot of water, and Hammond starts sticking him with a pitchfork in his chest over and over. And then Mem comes up to him and says, no, stop it, get away. And essentially, Mem ends up picking up the gun and pointing it at Hammond, and Hammond is like, what you doing, Mem? And the old Master Maxwell is about to come down and says, you old black bastard, Mem, you better stop it. And Mem blows him away. Bow! Knocks that old man out. And so all that's left now, after Mem runs away, is a dead Maxwell, a dead Meade in a boiling pot of water, and Hammond all by himself under the pillars of Falconhurst. What did you think of the end of the film?
Ooh, the end is definitely action-packed and brutal also. But yeah, like, I think, like, at the end, we kind of see, like, the true colors of Hammond. Because throughout the movie, he's, like, put in this position, like, is he good to his slaves or is he not? Does he care? Does he not? And, like, either way, he's a bad person for even having slaves. But, like, at the end, it's kind of made very, very absolutely clear, like, he doesn't actually give a shit about any of them. And, he just wants to dominate himself over them, and he just wants to have that power. And he does, like, one of the most brutal things ever in order to have that. And I think it also showed, like, Meade and how he felt towards Hammond, that he actually thought Hammond was his kind of friend, like, as friend as you can be, like you said, under his, position. And, like, it kind of proved, like, you shouldn't trust any white man in that position, like, especially. And obviously the hero, kind of like Agamemnon, comes through, and I'm glad, like, he shot the master, and then he probably ran away with all the other people that were in the Falconhurst. So yeah.
That would be dope if everybody else ran away too. Like, Mem finally has a gun. He leads the slave rebellion he's been trying to lead the entire time. That would be dope. I have two theories. My first theory is that when Meade was saying, I always had respect for you, I thought you were better than a white man, stuff like that, I believe that was Meade doing what everybody at Falconhurst did, which is say what the white folks want to hear to get out of a bad situation. I don't think Meade actually believed that. It was just, once again, the survival tactic everybody used. And my second theory is that, in reality, based on what I read in Martha Hodes's book, what Hammond would have actually done is just divorce Blanche, or probably killed her, but he wouldn't have killed Meade because of all the things I brought up before. Like, Meade made money, Meade was a breeder, Meade, was an obedient slave, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's so many things that Meade brings that Hammond needs that actually don't make sense for him to kill him if we follow the actual logic of slavery when we read history, right? But this is made for dramatic effect. So those are my two theories right there.
I mean, it was kind of ironic already because Hammond didn't care about Blanche. He didn't care for having sex with her. He didn't care, like, of having babies with her even. He sort of did it because his father forced him into.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess Agamemnon set him free, too, at the end.
I would imagine if this happened in reality, the father, Maxwell, would have been like, no, don't kill the Mandingo. Let's just castrate him, maybe. But he's too valuable to us, you know what I mean? As a worker, as a fighter, I don't know, cut off a finger, something like that, and we'll get you another Blanche. You know what I'm saying? Because that happened a lot. Like I mentioned in the book, there were instances of black men literally raping white women during slave times. And I'm talking about, like, not just being accused of it, actually doing it. And the slave master goes to the court and says, let my slave go. I'll pay the fine for him raping a white woman. And the slave comes back and like everything's fine. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how important slavery was to the economy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's just that. I'm sorry for nerding out. But about the film, I think the ending was a bit too abrupt. You know, how it just ends with Mem shooting the master and Hammond just crouching down in the corner. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's more. I know it's a Greek tragedy type of thing, but it just felt too abrupt. You know, Mem runs off and shoots and Hammond's left with nothing. It just felt like it cut too short for me. But, yeah.
I didn't think it was too short. I think the runtime was good, just in general. And yeah, and even though maybe the ending was short, it did like just sort of unravel a lot of things at the end. So I don't think I would need it to be longer. Yeah. Maybe like we could have seen, I don't know, Agamemnon like running off and being free or something. But other than that, like I was okay with the ending. Okay.
So I guess we'll do final scores for this film. What do you think?
I think, you know, I don't know if it's because of you, but I'm also starting to like 70s movies a lot. Yeah. And I would give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah. In general, like the acting is good, cinematography is really good, the themes are there, the scenes are there to show you what that period was like. And I think there are interesting discussions and I through like, even though there are brutal scenes that I wouldn't have liked to see, it's the reality of it. I think I enjoyed it and I learned things from it, definitely. Yeah. So 8.5.
8.5 is a solid score. I think I'll give it the same, 8.5. I'm also leaning towards a 9. I'm really into 70s core right now, so maybe I'm a bit biased. But I like the directorial style. I like the dialogue. I like the acting. I like all the characters as far as like, you know, what they represent and stand for and how you can analyze them and interpret them. I guess my main thing is like I feel that ending was a bit abrupt. But other than that, it does have great cinematography and build up and characters. So, yeah. I hope Hollywood does not remake this film because if they remake it, I think it's going to be really trash.
There's a sequel. It's called Drum, right? And it mostly has the same cast, I heard. We did not watch it. Maybe we'll watch it.
I heard Pam Grier's in it.
Let us know if you want us to review that one.
Yeah. But overall, good film. Shout out to everybody who's still alive. I think Perry King is still alive. Maybe Susan George is still alive, and the other actors as well. If you got any other films you want us to review, put them in the comments section. This is episode 134 of Simon and Acty Movie Reviews. Y'all be easy out there, and peace.